Hello and welcome to part 4 of this modeling Manga Eyes in Blender tutorial series. In the previous part, we added the texture for the pupil. We gave them their color. And in this fourth part, we are going to rig the eyes for deformation so that the eyes can show emotions just like on this render. And also for the rig will be ready for animation. But in this tutorial we will just concentrate on the rigging because it's already difficult enough. Okay, so the rig will allow for a very wide range of emotions for the eyes. You know, almost any kind of emotion from anger to happiness, sadness, surprise, and you can already do a lot of things with the pupil, and this time we're going to rig the rest of the eye for these kind of emotions. Okay, so I'm going to open the blend file from the last tutorial, from the end of the last tutorial. You should have something similar to this if you followed the tutorial. And I'm moving back to the default Blender to the default window layout in Blender, and I will activate first for you guys to see what keys I'm typing on the keyboard, the screencast keys add-on in Blender. Okay, so now on the bottom left you can see what keys I'm pressing on the keyboard and what mouse buttons I'm also clicking. Okay, so what we are going to do is right now we have 3 objects for each eye: the pupil, the white part of the eye, and the brow and eyelash into one object. So we'll have to separate the brow into another object, another fourth object. We'll add shape keys to the brows. We'll add shape keys to the white object. And for the brow, we'll use hooks. Okay, so let's do it. So I'm going into edit mode for the brow object. Okay, so I select the brow. I press P to separate and separate selection. Okay, so this object now I will call it eyebrow left. Always remember to name your objects correctly. So the other the object disappeared on the other side because we separated it. Okay, so it disappeared. It was part of this object before. Now it's an object on its own. But we'll take care of the mirroring later. Just let's concentrate on the left eye of our character for now. Okay, and for this object we'll call it eyelash dot L for left, just like this one, eyebrow dot L for left. Okay, so select the eyelash, go to the object data panel, options panel, and add a shape key. So this is now the basis shape. Okay, we'll add, so this one won't be modified, this shape key, and we'll add a new shape key that we'll call, for example, happy. I will only show you how to make the happy eyes. I probably show you how to create other emotions, how to deform the mesh for other emotions in other future tutorials. But for now, let's concentrate on the happy emotion, happiness. Okay. Now you select the happy shape key, and we can now shape the eyelash for a happy eye. Let's draw a guideline to help us. So usually the happy eyes in manga or anime characters, the top eyelash and the bottom eyelash will meet, not at the middle of the eye, but at 3/4, about 3/4 from the top. So if I draw a line at the middle, maybe this is not the middle, right? Okay, the middle should be more like here. The top and bottom eyelash should meet right at this line. Okay, so let's do it. And the eyelash also should stay curved. So I select all of that, bring this down along the y-axis. Okay, just maybe like that. And we'll make it less curved. Not still curved, but not as much. Yes, like that and like that. Bring the bottom eyelash up and invert its curve like that. We'll take those, bring them up, rotate, and you select that and you bring select those, bring them up a bit. You forgot those. Bring them up like that. This part, you should be careful with this part. Just bring it up and hide it completely. And you make sure that it still remains this, you know, it has the same shape, but it's squashed along the y-axis. Okay. Don't forget the shadow sort of thing, you know, bring it down like that, about here. Okay, so when I go out of edit mode and I'm back into object mode, you can see that my shape in edit mode, it's the shape I want it to have. I want the eyelash to have. And when I go back into object mode, I'm back into the original shape. This is because you control the amount of deformation from the basis shape to the happy shape with this slider. So as I move it, this is a percentage. As I move it to 100%, I now have 100%. I have activated the happy shape to full strength, 100% strength. Okay. So very quickly we can see that we have. You can see how it deforms pretty well here, you know, in this shape, and it really looks like happy eyes. So it's pretty good for now. We can always tune the shape later, but for now it's good enough. Okay, and we'll do the same because you can see behind the white part is not following, so we will do it now. It would be, the best would be to have both this object and this object into one object, so that when we create a shape key, we create it for both parts. But we can't do that because in the modifier we added to the pupil, we said shrink wrap to eye white left, and eye white left, sorry, is this object. And remember, we separated it because we want the pupil to project only on the white part, not on the eyelash. And if I join those two objects, the pupil will then project on the eyelash as well, which we saw that in the second tutorial, and it looked awful. So in the meantime, we have to add shape keys to both objects. So I select the eye white left object, I add a shape key. So this is the first one is the basis, we don't touch it. And I add another one, and I call it just the same to make it easy for us later. When we come back to this file, we can see that they have the same name, so it's easier to see that they should work together. They should fit. So we have to make sure that our eye, the white part of our eye, disappears behind the lash when the character is very happy. So try to keep the shape of the white part and squash it. Not sure. Yes. Okay. So we will test it. Still it's at 0%, so I move it up to 100% strength for this shape key, and it looks good. I save my file and I do a test render. Oops, I should have saved it to eyes 4 maybe. Okay. I do a test render F12. That looks good, except for the brow, which disappeared. It's not too bad. Maybe we should make the lash strands come out a bit more, just a bit more. So we'll go back to the brow, the eyelash object. Okay, and edit it and make those stick a bit more out, like that. Yes, that's better. Okay, so we have to keep the clue for our viewer that this is a female, that these are female eyes in every shape configuration, on when she is happy or when she's neutral, when she has a neutral expression. Okay. So now when you want to change the amount of happiness, you change the value, the slider here for the lash object, and you change the value here for the white part as well. Okay, and don't forget that you can always move also the pupil, and as now you can see the effectiveness of my approach with the pupil rig. You can modify, you can change the shape of the white part as you want. You don't have to worry at all about the pupil. It will always look good. Okay, so let me just put the pupils back to place, save my file, and yes, now for the eyebrow. So I'll put them back into fully happy. Oops, fully happy. So I can see what I'll do with my brow now. For the brow, we'll use hooks and not shape keys. Why? Because shape keys are very good. Why do I still have these lines? Okay, shape keys are very they excel at modifying complex shapes into very specific shapes, from one very specific shape to another very specific shape. So we had to do that for the brow because we have this, we have especially this part, okay, that should look good at every amount of happiness, okay, and it does look good. But for this brow, for this this shape is very simple, and we'd like to have a lot of freedom in modifying it, okay, for a very wide range of expressions of the brow, and we don't need very specific shapes or to be careful with very complex parts because this shape is simple. So in edit mode, you select each loop. That will add one more loop here just to add more control. wait, let me move that here with double G and add a loop here. Okay, so we'll have hooks, and you'll see with each hook we will be able to modify to move each edge loop. This, I mean, this edge loop, this edge loop, and this edge loop, etc. All of them individually. We'll be able to move them individually for optimal deformation freedom. So you select those two, you press Ctrl H, and the hooks menu appears, and you select the hook to new object. Okay, do the same for these. Ctrl H. Maybe move this a bit. That, like that, like that, and this one is just one single vertex, and we still add a hook. Okay, these now these are empty objects. They are just crosses. Really, they're just objects, abstract objects, and they are used now by moving any of them. You can move the vertices attached to them. So these are hooks, and we'll just make them smaller. So select one of them, and here in the in this object data panel, you change the display size to maybe 2. Okay, 0.2, 0.2. Okay, so that we can see a bit better what's going on. Okay, so now that we have that, it's very easy. Oops, what did I? It's very easy to grab them and change the emotion of the character. And when I move the hooks, you can see how far from the original position the hook is. Okay, so for example, now I have this kind of emotion. Already you can see that the eye, the expression is richer, like that. Okay, you can achieve a lot of expressions. Sometimes when you move the hook, you can see here it's getting very thin, like that. Let me draw. Yes, like that. And this is due to the let me erase this. This is due to the mesh going something like that. You can see here it's almost like there is no more face, only edges. When you have that, you just rotate the hooks so that the edges they get a bit farther away from each other. Okay, so anyway, you get the idea of the rig. And there is one last thing we can do. We can it's not very easy now. You can't move them. You can move the entire brow, the object, but this won't do anything, because now each vertex of this object, of this mesh, is hooked. So you have to select each hook. If you want to move the whole brow, you have to select each hook, and now you can move it. This is not very convenient, so we'll add a new empty, and we'll make each hook a child of this bigger empty. So press Ctrl P, set parent. Okay, so now I can move the whole brow with one object. and also in the outliner it looks cleaner. Okay, so this is my empty and it's selected, and all the objects are appear under it. So don't forget to name your objects with correct names. Eyebrow.l, eyebrow parent.l. Okay. Good. And I also forgot to parent the brow itself to it. Okay. So now I have eyebrow, yes. Okay. Let me bring the hooks back to where they should, I mean their original location, just so we can see better what's going on, roughly. Now we need, so we're almost done. We have still, there are two problems. We can't separate, we cannot make an eye have an expression other than the other, I mean from the other one, so they always have the same degree of happiness or not, and this is because they share the same object, which is the eye mesh. Okay, so we have to separate those two meshes. Now that we have added the shape key, we can press this button, select the other eye, press here, and we have another duplicated, a different eye mesh, and we call it eye.right. This is the mesh eye.right, and this is the mesh eye.left. Now we can change their degree of happiness. Do the same for the white part. So this is, we'll name it white.l. So this will be the mesh for this object, and for this object, separate it and replace L by R. And just like the eyelash, we can now have another expression, degree of expression for the other eye. Okay, now there is a little thing you should be aware of, is when you modify a shape key, when for example you want to change something in the happy shape key, you should now modify it on one side, but it won't be, when you modify it on one side, it won't be ported, it won't be, the other side will just remain like it is. The modification will not transfer from one eye to the other, because they have separate meshes. So when you modify one, don't forget to select the other one, the other object, choose the mesh you just modified, and you duplicate it again and you rename it. Okay, so that you can easily take your modified mesh, copy it to the other, copy the modifications from one to the other. Otherwise, in time, you will have two different meshes with different shape keys and different modifications, and this will be a nightmare for you to fix. Okay, and let's make the brow for the other side. So we'll just take it and we'll duplicate it. This time we'll Control D, Shift D, sorry. Okay, Control M for mirror along the x-axis, and you put it about where it should be, like that. Okay, and you name it correctly. The parent first should be named .r, and the brow itself, the mesh, the object which holds the mesh, also should be named correctly. For the empties, You can name them correctly if you want, but their name doesn't really matter, as long as they don't clutter the outliner, which is the case. No, they don't clutter anything because they're hidden when we don't want to see them. It's okay to leave their default name. Okay, so now we have our two eyes. They can have different expressions. This one, for example, will be very happy and very happy, and this one just a bit, like half like this, for example. And let's make our brow change their expressions a bit. Okay, like that. So now I'm just showing you for the before I finish how you can easily now give an expression to both eyes. How easily this rig works. Okay, so maybe I added a bit too many hooks, too many stops, because like you can see it's very hard to have something smooth. You can maybe remove one or two hooks to make it easier to shape the brows. Okay, let's do a test render, and that's it. Now for this fourth part, I'm really sure that you can now modify your eyes so that they can express a lot more expressions than just the default eyes we modeled in the previous parts.